Good evening, everybody. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner. I guess I better summon my class because there are some people on here that don't know what's going on, and we gotta summon them. Right now. Let's see if I can. No, I do not want to do that. Okay, I've done my very best here. Welcome to the live stream. I am, of course, Ted the Speed Learner, and I wanted to start this particular live stream with the following. For all you people who got this idea, oh well, gee, we lost our jobs at Acorn. Well, we'll just go over to McDonald's. We'll just go to get a job right off the bat. Am I ever laughing now? Yeah, we'll just go get a job at McDonald's. We don't have to worry about learning anything. Oh heck no! Did you see that? If you didn't, let me remind you this. I think it was within the last 24 to 48 hours, they just announced that a whole bunch of executives at McDonald's have lost their jobs. And get this, if that wasn't enough, some of these hourly employees either got their hours cut, got a pay cut, or worse, they lost their job completely. You can't get away from education. Let me tell you this right now. As I've said so many times, survival on a budget is easy, but survival without a budget is impossible. That's why you're here. That's why we do this. Okay? Because you can't get away from it. And I've heard all these people, our jobs are they're secure. We are not expendable. Ha ha. Let me state that again. Oh yes, you are. And if you have any qualms about that, all you have to do is talk to those nurses through the pandemic. You remember all that? Get this. The nurses in the pandemic, if they didn't do what these people wanted them to do, they were gone. The military took their place. Don't believe me? Research it for yourself. There is no such thing as a job where you are not expendable. You are expendable. How expendable is a different deal. We don't know. But you can be replaced. I promise you. And if you don't believe me, watch some of these people that, you know, well, hello there, Survival on a Budget Made Easy. Glad to have you here. And if you don't believe me, try this again. Just take a look at some of these people. They got sick. Some of them even passed away. As soon as all that happened, whammo bammo, they brought somebody else in. So yes, you can be replaced. Will you be replaced is a different story. But yes, you can. So don't get this idea that, oh, I'm in a job. I can't, they can't get rid of me. Oh, yes, they can. How many automobile plants have just suddenly closed down? Look at all those people at Acorn. They thought, oh, they can't get rid of me. But they did. They can get rid of you. And if times are bad enough, they will get rid of you. So don't think your job is that secure. It is not. The only thing you can keep secure is what's in here. And let me tell you something. How would you like it if I got on a video, and I ought to do this just because it's stupid, and I sometimes I like to do stuff stupid. How would you like for me to get on a video and start the video out, start the video saying something like this? Are you that close to flunking your test? Are you that close to losing what could be your future? Well, if you are, you better come here. How'd you like for me to do that? Mm-hmm. Maybe that'll get their attention. I don't know. But maybe that's what I should do to my videos. Put an intro here. Hey, if you're that close to flunking your test, you better start watching this. But hey, it's your problem, not mine. Not my grades, just yours. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Just to spite them. Mm-hmm. So let me say that again. No job is totally secure. No job. There is no such thing as a totally secure job. You can have a sudden illness, you can pass away, or the company could just close. Hey, we gotta downsize. You're done. Ask some of the people that have worked for dollar stores. They'll tell you that. Dollar store just suddenly shut down. Not enough employees. Boom. That was the end of that. Yeah. Think about that for a second. Okay. So now that we've established that there is no such thing as a totally secure job, and we now know what you really got to do to make sure that something that bad doesn't happen to you, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Now, you have to find my notes exactly. Okay, we're gonna go right here and no. Let's go back up to I want to go to okay. So what are we gonna be doing tonight? Well, do you remember those memory videos I recorded long ago? Well, I want to tell you what I'm doing on my YouTube channel at this moment, and how long I'll be able to do this, I don't know, but we're gonna try. Is I'm trying to not only do new versions of them because these older ones were recorded in a low, well, not only just a bandwidth, but also low resolution, that kind of stuff. And I want to improve all that because people are not watching these videos on their computer screens anymore. Oh no, they're actually watching them on television, and they don't look as good on the TV as they did on the computer screen. So I'm trying to make updated versions of them, but I don't want to just make them updated. I also want to add extra stuff to them. And that's what we're going to do tonight. I have an updated and added extra onto the first memory video. There were 54 memory videos, and I'm going to go through each and every one. I'm going to upgrade them. And then, actually, there was only 53. The one was a repeat. Sorry. But anyway, we're going to do this, and we're going to not only update the video, but also add stuff to the video. So it'll be better than it was before. This is why I did that SD-RAM versus DDR-RAM revisit. That's why I did the ISA bus update. That's why I did one. I don't remember what title of update of a previous video. And we're just updating some of these videos. Now, when it comes to the FASB, I had done some videos about FASB statement number 3. The only problem is that I have more information now than I did back then because more people have published information on the internet since I did those originally. So I'm going through the FASB statement number 3 and telling you guys what I do know, and more importantly, what I don't know, because I'm hoping someday somebody that knows a lot about accounting will be able to watch those videos, pick up on the few details I apparently overlooked or missed or have no knowledge of, and then help me fill in the blanks so I could tell you what's going on with FASB statement number 3. Okay, we shall see. Now then, I'm going to do another one of my bra videos tonight. And this time we're going to be covering the Boy Rangers of America. Didn't know that. But I've been given a couple of challenges as well. And I'm going to take those challenges up pretty seriously tonight. The first one is I am going to review a song. Well, that's a loose statement on my part because I would not necessarily call this a song. But anyway, we're going to do this. It's the author of the song is Kevin Gates. And if you know anything about Kevin Gates, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're going to be reviewing that. We're also going to review a Boz Scaggs song. So if you're a fan of Boz Scaggs, you probably know this song, and we're going to review it. We're also going to review a couple of songs from Donna Summer. And then I'm going to do something else that I have not ever done before, and that's review a commercial. Yes, there is an audio commercial, and everybody wanted me to review it. There is an audio commercial, and everybody wanted me to review it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. We're also going to review videos that were uploaded by other channels like Survival to Budget Made Easy, Where the Heck Are the All Bands. We also have a new guy named Alan Massey 91. I'm going to review one of his videos. And then on top of that, we have Valerie Reese. I'm going to review one of her videos, etc., etc., etc. So I see there are 3 people in my live stream tonight. I know Survival to Budget Made Easy is here tonight. That is great, fantastic. Your review will be a food video that you did recently. And whoever else is in here, I'd love to know who you are. Please tell me who you are because I have no idea unless you tell me. Okay. So anyway, but as I always do, I start with the educational material first, then we move into something a little more entertaining. Always that way. The reason is you need to learn things. And I will tell you that I have master copies of every single video that I have ever created. That's over 4,000. Okay. So I got over 4,000 videos. A lot of them are low resolution. So, like I said, we're going to try to upgrade those. We're going to do this week after, well, whenever I can. I wanted to tell you folks, one of the reasons why I will not be live for a couple of weeks is because we're having a weather shift around here. We've already had some tornadoes and some other things. The other may be TV people. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. That's Survival to Budget Made Easy talking to me. I do want you guys to keep in mind that as I'm doing the actual videos, I will not be able to see the live chat. I just won't be able to see it. So that's because I'm going to have Notepad++. It's going to display on my screen. I'll be reading it instead of this. So therefore, there you go. Now, the other thing I want to keep in mind is that the weather is starting to shift. We've had tornadoes. We've had severe weather. We have also had days where it was almost 70, even 80 degrees around here. And then at night, it gets to be up to 55 and 60. You can have spring, summer, winter, and fall right here in Illinois in the same day. That is not a joke, folks. In May, we have actually had snow on the ground. It didn't last very long, but there was snow on the ground. You had to be up in the middle of the night to see it, but yep, we had snow on the ground in May. Unheard of, right? Yeah. Anyway, so what's happening is that my room warms up throughout the day. Okay, especially if it's getting about 75, 80 degrees. The thing is, about midnight, it cools off. So I try to retain the heat from the daytime in my bedroom by keeping the windows shut. Okay, and that means I can't really run my air conditioner right now. All right. So what we're doing is in about 2 weeks, when I know that the weather outside is not going to be like 35 degrees, we'll go ahead and open up the window, attach the air conditioner, and the air conditioner will cool off my bedroom. And I won't have any problems doing live streams. But for the next 2 weeks, probably there'll be no live streams at all. Besides, I got to have days off. That's another thing. My hours were cut. You think, well, that's a great thing. Not really, because that doesn't help pay the bills. But there have been coworkers that have been calling in saying we can't make it, whatever. And then I end up taking up their hours. So that means that some weeks I'm still working 36 to 37 hours a week. Whereas other weeks I only work 30. So unless I'm doing a vacation, which this is a mini vacation I've got this time, that's right, I'm on a mini vacation. I can't just, do a live stream because I don't know when I'm going to actually have time off or not. Now, one of the things I might do, even when I'm not working as many hours, if I can't do a full-blown live stream, I may still record a couple of videos from time to time just to keep your interest up. But a major live stream like this is really only possible when I am on vacation. Now, I know some people have been asking about Rumble. So, well, what's the deal with Rumble? Okay, what the deal is that I thought I would try out Rumble to see if I could become as popular over there as I am over here. Now, I will tell you that even though I have actually taken some of my more recent videos and uploaded them and throw them over there because I have master copies of everything. I did. I got some comments, and I also got some likes for some comments I left with them. But as far as you really can't tell watch time on Rumble like you can here. Okay, so I don't know how much of the material they're watching over there, and the view count has not been all that high either. So there you go. Anyway, I'm gonna pour me a drink. I've decided I want to splish splash myself all the time. So this could make you parched pretty quick. If you think it can't, guess again. One nice thing about Illinois is that the tap water, once you get past a couple of little drops here and there, that the groundwater stays cold longer than uh, say in other places because it heats up by day, but it cools by night. So that tap water gets pretty cold, especially in the morning. I mean, you can have a day where it's 70 degrees and it drops down to 30. So that tap water gets pretty cold throughout the night. There you go. Okay. So let's get into our lessons for today. And I have already said that we are going to review the Stanley audio commercial as well as the Kevin Gates rap song. Review it as well, amongst all the other things we're going to do. Now, for illustration purposes, we do have Math Doesn't Suck. Yes, we're going to review another. Oh, and I've been promising people this one. This is about algebra. For the first time, we're going to be talking about algebra tonight. And I'm going to do some illustrations. As you can see, I have my small dry erase board right here. And we're going to do some illustrations. Also in the FASB video, I am going to do a brief illustration there. So there you go. I wish I could have found my scales. I have a pair of scales and I wanted to use them, but I don't know where they're at the moment. So whenever I find them, then I'll start using them. I probably should in later videos, mainly because in those later videos, it's going to become very important. Okay, because you're trying to make sure that both sides of an equation are equal. Anyway, let's get everything set up. Are we ever going to have fun tonight? Okay, so now trying to think. One of my videos is going to have a timestamp in it, and I can't remember which one's going to have a timestamp, but it's going to have a timestamp so that and I think it was the one. I don't think it's the PCI bus. There is another one. I'm gonna tell you guys. There's a timestamp in there, because oh yeah, you remember I did a video about the minimize, resize, and close buttons on a web browser. That particular video that I'm going to do tonight is going to have a timestamp because I'm going to cover a lot of history, and I don't think everybody really wants to hear the history, but there you go. Now, I will be critiquing in the not so distant future some of these people that have been giving you guys YouTube tips that I know dang and well are not going to work. And I'll tell you why in one of the videos I'm going to do tonight, because I'm going to actually respond to a YouTube channel called Cord Cutters. And I'm going to tell you why some of these tips do not work. So stay tuned for that, because you're going, oh boy, I wish somebody had told me that. Well, I'm telling you tonight, it don't work. So here we go. Good Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight's topic is, let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series on the topic of memory, which is often called mnemonics. Mnemonics. And let me go ahead and write this down for you. Okay. It's Oh, that thing don't work. That's gone. Goodbye. Let's try that again, shall we? Mnemonics. So what is mnemonics? It's a method that is used to help people remember things for lengthy periods of time, which of course everybody here needs. Now, I actually covered a basic portion of mnemonics in my navigating my YouTube video. Okay, I have a video entitled Navigating My YouTube This is not going well. Let me try that again. Doesn't always work on the first try, but let's try this. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series called Memory. And specifically, what we're going to focus on is something called mnemonics. And if you have never heard this term before, you should watch the movie Johnny Mnemonic. Now, mnemonics is a method that people use to help retain information for lengthy periods of time. Okay. And I covered this topic in a video that I uploaded a long time ago. I actually did updates to this video called Navigating My YouTube Channel. Why did I put the subject of mnemonics at the end of that YouTube video? Well, the reason for that was I was trying to get you guys used to something called YouTube cards and YouTube end screens. So you would click that and then see the actual result. Why did I want you to watch Navigating My YouTube Channel? The reason is that I have over 4,000 videos on my YouTube channel. Do you really want to search through all of those just to find a video like this? Of course not. I have playlists on my YouTube channel, and I wanted you to see how to find that playlist, not only if you're looking at this on your computer, but also if you're watching this on TV, or better yet, what if you're watching this on your phone? There you go. And I made versions of this Navigating My YouTube Channel for the phone, for the TV, and also for the computer. So you can find my content quickly and easily. And that's what this is all about. Okay, so why do I want you to learn faster? Well, the main reason is that either you're going through school and you're being bombarded with a ton of information, or you have a job and you need to go back to school, but you don't have a whole lot of time to do that. Let me tell you something. I trained to be a pharmacy tech, okay, at my workplace, and I had to learn a whole ton of information in a very short period of time. If you're going to have to do something like that, you're going to need mnemonic techniques. Just that simple. All right. Now, you have to also keep in mind, I've been on YouTube for 14 years. That's why I have 4,000 videos. I forgot to tell you that. I have also published 5 Kindle books. Now, if you have any hope of remembering all the information that I have presented over the last 14 years, you're going to need mnemonic devices. That's just a given. Okay. So, is there any other reason why you should develop mnemonic devices? Yes, there is. Have you ever heard the story of John Bunyan? If you have not heard the story of John Bunyan, you need to look it up. Okay. Now, the mnemonic techniques that I'm going to use in this book, in this video, and in my Kindle books, and in all, and I can go on and on and on, they were all taken from a book that I discussed at the end of my Navigating My YouTube channel video. Okay. If you want to know the title of that book, I suggest you go to my Navigating My YouTube channel video and look it up. All right. What if you want to actually do this lesson? Well, the first thing you need to do is get a copy of the July 1996 edition of the Reader's Digest. Here it is. So if you have this Reader's Digest, and I hope you get it, then I want you to turn to page 14. At the bottom of the page, you will see three jokes. I will help you remember the middle joke. Okay, there's one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle. One in the middle is what I'm going to help you remember. Okay, let's start with the first three words of the joke. How will you remember the number of employees? Okay, do you recall me mentioning the word binary in several of my computer tutorials? Well, how many digits are involved in the word binary? That should be really easy to remember. Because if you do the etymology of the word binary, you know that the number is 2. Bi means 2. All right. There are several words that can be used to express a mistake. One of them is error, but there is yet another one that we're going to refer to in this joke. It can be found in a September 1925 cartoon featured in the New Yorker magazine. Let me say that again. It can actually be found in a cartoon in the September 1925 edition of the New Yorker magazine. But if you don't have that available to you, then there is another way to see this. And I'm going to have a hyperlink down here in the description below. I want you to click it. But what you're going to see is a video clip of the movie Notting Hill. Okay, this movie features Hugh Grant. His character in this particular scene of the movie trips and falls. Then Julia Roberts, in her character, responds to his fall and says the word that I am referring to in this video. If you don't know what I'm saying here, feel free to click the link in the description box. For this joke to actually work, do we want these employees stating that they made a mistake, or do we want them to pretend that they didn't make a mistake? Well, let's look at the occupations of these employees. If you have ever heard of the name of Joseph Lister or Louis Pasteur, then you know one of the occupations I'm referring to. And if you were to say the word physician, yes, but there is another word for that too. Okay. But what about the other occupation? Have you ever heard the names Penn and Teller, Harry Houdini, David Copperfield? What's their profession? Go ahead and let me know down here in the comments below. So now you know the second occupation that's mentioned in this joke. So how will you remember all these details? Let's start with the movie I mentioned earlier. Just imagine that Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts are standing on a knotty hill. Okay? Not a nice hill, but a knotty hill. How will you remember Hugh Grant? Well, just imagine that Hugh, or Hugh Grant, is an artist, Hugh, okay? And he just received a grant to go to college. Well, how are you going to remember Julia Roberts? Well, the name of Julia happens to be a derivative of the name Julius, as in Julius Caesar, as in July. Coming together for you now? So, this takes care of the first name, but what about the last name of Roberts? Well, just imagine that this particular Julia has a boyfriend named Robert. Okay, there you go. Now, you got to remember the name of Joseph Lister. Well, if you do anything with mouthwash, you should automatically know who this guy is. But anyway, so let's imagine that Joseph here is sitting on the knotty hill, but he is experiencing fatigue. He is basically listless. Ever heard the word listless? There you go. Listless, lister. And what about Louis Pasteur? Okay, now imagine this knotty hill has a pasture on the hill. And imagine that this hill is located in St. Louis, Illinois. Or St. Louis, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri. My mistake. Sorry, correction. But imagine that this knotty hill is in St. Louis, Missouri. So far, so good. Now, let's imagine that Harry Houdini, and if you guys don't know who Harry Houdini is, watch some video clips about him. You'll get it. Let's imagine him sitting on this knotty hill. He's writing a detective novel. It's a whodunit book. And what about David Copperfield? Okay. Let's imagine that David finds a field of copper on the top of this knotty hill. There you go. All right, so now you can remember the basic details of the joke, plus some extra interesting facts on top of that. All right, now go back to your Reader's Digest. This time you're going to go to page 17, and you will see 3 jokes on this page. The joke we will focus on in this case involves someone serving in the Coast Guard. Now, if you are a regular person and you buy body soap, you should know the name of one of the body soaps. Get it? Okay. Now, the next thing I will have you picture in your head is a weather radio. There are 2 purposes for remembering the weather radio. I'll show you those in just a second. Notice that weather radios can obtain power from a wall plug-in. Okay, you can plug these puppies in, or you can have batteries in them, or you can have both. But honestly, I would not have the batteries in there while you have it plugged into the wall because it'll drain both. Not a good idea. But they can also, like I said, they can also obtain power from a rechargeable battery. That means that this weather radio has 2 sources of power. If the primary power source of the weather radio is derived from the outlet in the wall, then you know that the weather radio battery isn't the primary power source. So, if it's not the primary power source, can you think of another name for it? Well, if you can, associate that word, the non-primary power source, okay, which would be secondary or some other word. So you're thinking secondary power source, but then you think of another word, and then you would associate that with the Coast Guard person. The other aspect of the weather radio will be used for this illustration is the fact that the weather radio alerts unsuspecting people of precipitation in some form. And as we all know, precipitation is some form of water. So why would anyone own a weather radio? Well, the information the weather radio provides can keep people from life-threatening injuries. So now we have the words water and safety. Both words are involved in this joke. This particular Coast Guard person likes to eat pastries. Specifically, he likes to eat brownies. These particular brownies are light and fluffy. That's because they are full of air. Why is this detail so important? Because the Coast Guard person served in another branch of the military. Based upon what I told you of the brownies, can you guess which branch of the armed forces this Coast Guard person previously served in? Now, these brownies have won ribbon awards. That's why this Coast Guard person is eating the brownies. This is how you will remember that the Coast Guard person was a decorated soldier. But what's the significance of the brownies? What if I told you that the brownies were young and female? Can you think of an organization that derives its name from young female brownies? The next thing to imagine is that the ribbons are in gift boxes. This will help you remember the word giving. This Coast Guard person was talking to a group of young ladies who were selling lemonade for a profit. That means they were earning money. Now let's imagine the young ladies earn ribbons instead of money. So let's review. We have the Coast Guard person and ribbon giving, the young ladies and ribbon earning. Okay, they're earning their ribbons, but the Coast Guard person is getting he was given these ribbons. Okay. At this point, you should be able to guess the rest of the joke. The real task is to see if you can remember all these details. All right. Everything is now up to you. Can you remember all this? Let me know down here in the comments below if you can, or if you are still struggling, let me know. And definitely get yourself an issue of the July 1996 Reader's Digest before you give up on this video. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! What'd you guys think of that? Do you now see what I mean by not only redoing a video, but upgrading it? Think of the things you learned in this video. Louis Pasteur, Joseph Lister. Yeah, you know something about the Coast Guard. You know about weather radios. I could go on and on and on. You have learned a lot in just one video. Okay, so let me get a little more to drink. We'll take care of the dry erase board. Let's do this. Ah, yes. Let me click this right here. Very good. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to cover the topic of web browser minimize, resize, and close. All right. Now, I'm going to give you a little history on this, and I'm also going to give you an update on all this because something has changed, and I wanted to let you know about it. There will also be a timestamp in the description below so you can skip some of this history and get to the meat and potatoes of what this video is really all about. But anyway, here it comes. Now, before I can go into this discussion about web browsers, I have to first of all tell you that the acronym WWW stands for the World Wide Web. But what is a web browser, and what are the now 4 symbols you may or may not see on the right corner of your web browser? This would be the right upper corner. To comprehend the term web browser, you must first comprehend the history of the World Wide Web. I can start this discussion with the history of the telephone, but I don't want you to fall asleep in this particular video. So let's focus on an event that took place in 1957. That's a little after Alexander Graham Bell. The Soviet Union actually launched a rocket into space and released an object called Sputnik. This object orbited the Earth and transmitted electrical pulses to satellite dishes that had been erected in the Soviet Union. Many United States researchers became concerned about this tiny space orbiting object. So some students from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and some soldiers in the United States Armed Forces started collaborating about this particular developing situation. The United States Department of Defense formed an organization called the Advanced Research Projects Agency. The director of this Advanced Research Project Agency, named Jack Ruina, and if I mispronounced his name, I'm sorry, please forgive me. He hired a graduate from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which would be known as MIT. His name was J.C.R. Licklider. Mr. Licklider convinced the United States government to develop a galactic network of computers just in case the Soviet Union decided to launch an attack on the current telephone system. Had the Soviet Union back then launched an attack on the um, current telephone system at the time, they could have crippled the United States. That's why they did this. Mr. Licklider became the director of an organization called Information Processing Techniques Office. This organization was to develop computer networks for the United States military. Eventually, Mr. Licklider stepped down from his position, but before he did, he found someone to replace him. The name of his replacement was Ivan Sutherland. Ivan Sutherland developed a technology that would store computer displays in computer memory so they could be modified, copied, or even redrawn. Mr. Sutherland basically pioneered computer graphics. Then Mr. Sutherland forged a contract with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, otherwise known as MIT, and they found an MIT student named Lawrence Roberts. Mr. Roberts and another man by the name of Thomas Merrill developed a data package exchange that could be transmitted and received over telephone lines. That meant groups of electrons were transported from one computer to another computer over telephone lines. This was the beginning of the internet. There is a lot more information I could present to you in this video, but I will try to keep this video as brief as possible. Electronic mail was developed in 1971 by a man named Ray Tomlinson, and a couple of decades later, a man by the name of Sir Tim Berners-Lee. That's a big name. He developed the World Wide Web. Sir Tim Berners-Lee was a British scientist. When he was younger, he had a model train set in his bedroom. Bet you didn't know that. Sir Tim Berners-Lee graduated from the Oxford University and was hired as a software engineer at CERN. What is CERN? Well, the acronym stands for a French phrase. That French phrase is down here in the description below. I have no intentions of trying to pronounce it. It is just hard. CERN was originally a European nuclear research facility. Sir Tim Berners-Lee noticed that the researchers working at CERN were having trouble sharing information about particle physics. So Sir Tim Berners-Lee developed a computer language called hypertext. Sir Tim Berners-Lee was responsible for the creation of two other critical internet puzzle pieces. He helped create the Uniform Resource Locator and the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I will be covering both of these topics in a future video. So, who developed the web browser? Well, that honor falls on Mr. Nicola Pellow. He was a math student at CERN, and Sir Tim Berners-Lee asked Mr. Pellow to design a line mode browser. And as the saying goes, the rest was history. You want to check out all this history? Please go ahead. Modern web browsers have many unique features, and in future videos I might go over some of those. But in this video, I will cover only three basic features. The first is the minimize feature. That one. And what happens is if you click that, the web browser will shrink down and go to the bottom of your screen. That's what it'll do. Okay. Now, the second is something called the resize feature. Now, this resize feature is designed specifically if you want to see other things on your computer screen besides your web browser, you can shrink that web browser down so you can see other things. The last of the three basic features is the close feature. You close that, the web browser disappears. Okay, there you go. But in the title of this video, I mentioned another feature. What is this extra feature? In the Google Chrome web browser, you will see a fourth feature. This is the fourth one right here. I'm not sure if this feature exists in other browsers. You're going to check that out. I did find out it does exist in Firefox, but I don't know about other web browsers. This feature will let you see currently open browser tabs and browser tabs that you have recently closed. I will tell you more about web browser features in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Oh, hi, Doberman. I'm glad to see you tonight because the very next topic I'm going to cover, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know everything about a PCI bus board or anything like that. I'm going to tell you what I could find out, and if there's anything extra that you want me to fill in on that, let me know, and I will put it in my next video, which is going to be called Low Pin Count. Okay, that'll be the next one. There's going to be about two or three more in this video series that I thought there was going to be. I was going to do originally three, which was the ISA bus and then the PCI bus, and then I was going to do the low pin count bus to make up for the one I did a decade ago. But we're going to have to do more because I learned some things. Like, okay, I didn't know there was a PCI Express. I didn't know that USB finally took over. I didn't know any of this stuff. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know this stuff. So here we go. But hopefully I get this right. And if I don't, well, then we're going to put the corrections in the next video. And I'm going to say that directly in this video, that the correction will be in the next one. And remember, because I'm going to be displaying Notepad++ on my screen, I won't be able to see your comments until after the video is done. So please bear with me. I will see that the very second the video is done. So if you want to leave comments, go right ahead. And I will read them the very second I get the video done. All right. So please be patient. It's coming. All right. Glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. And we'll keep on going. All right. Oh, okay. Scrap that. We will do the PCI bus, but the first thing we got to do is math doesn't suck. Oh boy, we're gonna have fun with this one. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and boy, we're gonna get through this. Not only do I want to thank you, Doperman, for Doperman. I'm so thrilled you're here, but I also want to thank you for your patience because this math doesn't suck thing. If you aren't laughing your head off by the time I get done with this, I'll be surprised. I really will. I was laughing my behind off when I saw this. So get ready for the biggest laugh you've ever seen because here I go. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to continue my review of Math Doesn't Suck with the following. Danica McKellar, in this particular chapter of her book, tries to compare mathematical variables with foreign exchange students. Oh, this is going to get fun. This is totally unnecessary. As I have explained in several of my previous videos in the last decade, all you have to do when it comes to variables is to imagine that a variable is a number wearing a costume. A better way to remember that is a famous video game that came out in the 1980s. Do you remember a famous video game that came out in the 1980s that had some ghosts in it? Okay. In the story. That should have been it. Just picture that, picture those ghosts in those costumes, and all you have to do is use every technique you could possibly come up with to get that costume up and see the number that's underneath. That's it. That's all you have to do. Why go through all of this when it's completely unnecessary? But it gets better. All right. Now, I will agree that an asterisk, yes, that's a hard word to pronounce, an asterisk is what computer people started using for the multiplication symbol because they didn't really want to confuse it with the letter X. Okay? When you're multiplying things, you don't always want to use it. When you're in grade school and you're not using computers very much, letter X is fine. But when you get into algebra, this is a kind of a first step into algebra, you have variables that are X, and then you have this multiplication symbol. It's also an X. And then, of course, you have the Latin number 10, and of course, it's represented with an X as well. that could be a bit confusing. So I do agree that an asterisk is a multiplication mathematical symbol, especially used in computers because you don't want to confuse it with the letter X. Okay. And I will say, although it's rare, when you're using the mathematical parentheses, you may have something called the FOIL method of mathematics. I have covered this in previous videos. I will do it again. Okay. So if you're using the FOIL method of mathematics, it's probably a good idea to remember that these parentheses are multiplication. So what you would do is you'd multiply the first terms like this. You'd multiply the outer terms, okay? And then you'd multiply the inner terms. So these would be this and this would be the outer terms. This and this would be the inner terms. And then you would multiply the last terms, which would be the 3 and the 9. And that's why it's called FOIL. I have seen that in the past, and that in the parentheses is a multiplication, whatever. Now, there is something else that is used for multiplication, and it's called a coefficient. And I really need to do a video about coefficient as to why they are called coefficient, so on and so forth. But let me show you this. When you see 3x like this, that 3 is a coefficient right there. And it is multiplied by the x. So yes, in these kind of situations, you would not see a multiplication symbol. It would just be 3x. Okay. So Danica McKellar is correct. You would have that like that. So if you're using the FOIL method of mathematics, you would use the parentheses for multiplication. If you're using coefficients, of course, there is no multiplication symbol. Otherwise, the X and the asterisk are used for multiplication symbols. So much for that. After Danica McKellar finishes her multiplication symbol discussion, she returns to the foreign exchange student. In her illustration, the student offers up a nickname. Now, nowhere in this description of this foreign exchange student is it ever said that somebody called him that nickname. So apparently he's just come up with this by himself. Usually, when somebody decides to call you a nickname, they come up with a nickname, not you. Now you say, well, you came up with a nickname of Speed Learner. I didn't come up with the name Speed Learner as a nickname. I came up with it as a handle like you would find in the CB handle days of the 1970s. In the 1970s, everybody had a handle. I came up with a handle. That is not a nickname. That is a handle. That's different. Okay? So, usually these nicknames are given to people that are either their friends, because friends can give you a nickname, or maybe you have somebody that's a potential adversary and they give you a nickname to try to humiliate you. Okay, so if you look historically, that's usually how it works. It's very rare when you end up giving yourself a nickname, but whatever. Anyway, at this point, it doesn't really matter, but why she included all this, I don't know. Really, I don't know. Variables do not need nicknames. They are simply ghosts with costumes, okay? Take the ghost costume off, boom. You find the number. That's how it's done. Anyway, then Danica McKellar presents yet another illustration. She discusses makeup bags, okay? She specifically refers to items in the makeup bag. In this particular case, she was referring to lipstick tubes, okay? Now, the question is, are all the lipstick tubes in this bag the same shade of color? Or are they different colors? She never specifies. And if the person's removing the lipstick from the bag, you have to ask yourself, how would they even know what colors are in the lipstick? Are they reading each and every one? Or somehow they just somehow magically recognize that? Or are they all the same color and they just reach up and grab 3 and say, hey, there you go. I needed 3 of the same color. none of this is specified in her illustration. And then I'd like to know when Danica McKellar became such an expert in magic. I didn't see that on her resume. I know that she has been an actress. I know that she has been a book writer, obviously, but magician, I have not seen that one. That's a new one for her. Okay, now, unfortunately, I will say first before I go on that the illustration that she's using can help people visualize word problems. So on that part, just that part alone, I will give her one kudo. Yes, this is a good training exercise for word problems. I'll give her that. But the rest of it's like it's unnecessary. But okay. What should you use for variables? Well, what you really should use is Koine Greek letters because that's what's used in higher level math books, including calculus. You'll see a lot of this where they will use the Greek letter theta or the Greek letter beta or the Greek letter alpha for some of the variables in some of the things you're working on, especially in geometry. You'll find this out. Okay, because geometry and calculus both use Greek letters. So this would be an excellent time for you to memorize Koine Greek letters. In Danica McKellar's next illustration, she grabs a bag of pearls. Why? Again, there's no reason to substitute variables for bags of pearls. None whatsoever. Many young ladies in the United States simply don't possess and may never possess a sack of real pearls. They may have a pearl necklace that their mother or their grandmother gives them, but entire sacks of pearls? Really? What do they do? Live right next to an ocean where they can pick up a bunch of oysters and pull out a bunch of pearls? What are they supposed to do with the rest of the oyster, huh? Give it to their brothers or give it to their dad so he can cook them up? So, and let's say that they are fake pearls. Okay, fine. I got that. It's very unlikely that young ladies will have real pearl necklaces. It's very unlikely. But whatever. If we proceed with this particular illustration, we will find ourselves counting lots and lots of pearls. Again, this is unnecessary. Again, I will go back to the ghost of the video game and say, all you have to do is pull off the ghost costume and find the number. That's it. That's all you have to do. All this extra stuff was completely unnecessary. Now, on the other hand, Danica McKellar comes up with a scale illustration, okay? I want to tell you guys I actually do have a pair of scales, but I have lost them. I moved and I lost them and I don't know where they're at. And as soon as I find them, I'll use them for future illustrations. But for tonight, we'll just have to go with this. This is a pathetic looking thing of scales. I do agree with her illustration at this point because you do really need to know this. This part you really do need to know. Okay? And she is correct in saying that whatever's on one side of an equation, if you got an equal sign, the other side has to have the same amount. That she is correct on. And using this pair of scales was a brilliant idea. Okay. But you do not, under any circumstances, have to substitute variables with bags, boxes, foreign exchange students, or anything else. Okay? And you don't have to rename algebra. Okay, and that's something that we'll cover in a later video. But she decides that she wants to rename algebra because what she wants to do is send you to an amusement park. Why? It's unnecessary. Absolutely, totally unnecessary. Complete waste of time. But anyway. So, again, I'm going to advise use Greek letters for variables. That's it. Now, a better way to illustrate moving things from one side of an equation to another side of an equation is to imagine a moving truck. Okay? And a lot of people have seen moving trucks, trust me. So just make sure you place the same amount in the moving truck. Okay? So uh, whatever you place in the moving truck, don't take it back out until you get it to the other side. All right. So we're going to illustrate this. Let's suppose you have an equation. Three x plus 1 equals 10. Now we're going to take 1 away from this. So we're going to put that 1 in a moving truck. And we're going to move it over here. We're going to add it to this. So now we have 3x equaling 11. No. Nope, that's 11. Sorry. Nope, wrong. Because we're going to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. So that is actually 3x equals 9. My mistake. Wrong. Okay. We're subtracting this. We're going to move 1 away from this and 1 away from this side. And you divide it by 3. And you get x equals 3. So if you subtract 1 from this side of the equation, you have to subtract 1 from that side of the equation. And that's the part I got wrong, and I'm sorry, and you can beat me up for it. Let's go ahead with another equation. Now, Danica McKellar is also correct in stating that you should always isolate your variables. Just think about a party where you see someone in the corner who isn't enjoying the party very much. Have you ever felt that way? Just think about the poor variable once it finds itself in a corner. Then Danica McKellar presents a testimonial. So, who's the person in the testimonial? Well, I'm going to let you read that for yourself. But this particular person states that the only way to succeed in mathematics is to study hard. That is a lie. Okay, there are other ways. You just need a very good guide like me to help you find your path. That's why I'm here. By the way, you should never compare your grades with the grades of your peers. You're basically comparing yourself with others, and that's really not a good, healthy thing to do. Remember, you are not them. They have their own problems. Let them have their own problems. You don't live like them. You don't study the same way that they do. So don't think yourself like them. The person in the testimonial states that she was hard on herself despite her exceptional grades. Why? If you feel that way, feel free to talk to your friends about your grades. I can almost guarantee that there will be at least one or more of your friends that would be envious of your grades. Once you see the envy in their eyes, you will no longer be tough on yourself. It's that simple. If you're really struggling with your math problems, I recommend coming here and seek my assistance. I'm always available. It's highly doubtful that your friends are going to successfully assist you, especially if they are struggling with mathematics in the same way as you are. That's all I've got to say. All righty. I want to thank you very much for watching this particular presentation. If you want to beat me up, that's fine. For getting that equation wrong, that's fine too. But anyway, I appreciate you coming here tonight and taking a look at this. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. All right. Thanks again for everybody watching. Actually, the next video is the PCI bus video. I want to thank you guys for continuing to watch. This is just tilting just a pinch, and I want to adjust that just a pinch. Okay, there we go. That's better. That looks a lot better. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let me get something to drink first. I'm getting parched. As you can see, my shirt is not quite as wet as it was the last time. Okay, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Oh, that is not good. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to do an update on a video I did over a decade ago. It was a video that had ISA, PCI, and LPC bus. Okay, and I already updated the ISA, and tonight we're going to update the PCI. And then the next time we're going to update the low pin count. Now, any mistakes that I make in this particular video, I'm going to include the correct information in the next video, which will be the low pin count bus. Okay. But this video series is not only to replace the original video I did a decade ago, but it's to upgrade it as well. And there will be actually more videos in that series than what I thought there was only going to be 3. There's actually going to be about 5 or 6. So, like, whoa, we're not done yet. Not even close. Okay, the first thing you need to know about the PCI bus is what the letters of the acronym stand for. The letters stand for Peripheral Component Interface. Now, if you'll remember from the ISA bus video, I actually went through the etymology of the word peripheral. Okay, so who created the PCI bus and when was this technology created? It was introduced by it was introduced to the computer world by the Intel Corporation in 1992. Why was this technology introduced? Do you recall when I discussed the term megahertz and CPU clock speeds in my ISA bus video? If you don't, go back to that video, watch it, then come back here. Now, CPU speeds steadily increased. But before I discuss this further, I need to introduce you to a man by the name of Gordon Moore. Ever heard of him? He was the co-founder of the Intel Corporation. He created a law called Moore's Law. He stated that the number of transistors on a microchip should double every 2 years. Why is this law so important? Well, one of the reasons Moore's Law is so important is that the ISA bus boards simply could not keep up with the number of transistors that were being attached to the more modern day CPUs. So the Intel Corporation created PCI bus cards. These cards were able to send 32 bits of data or 4 bytes of data or 4 alphanumeric characters to the CPU at a speed of 33 megahertz a second. Now, from what I understood, and I really tried to do my best research on this, and I may not still be clear on this. What you do is you have this highway, and this highway in the original ISA boards was just divided in half. So you had 2 lanes. Okay. So what would happen is that you would have 8 bits on one lane and 8 bits on another lane, and they'd be set off at the exact same time, and they would travel down the whole lane of the road at 33 megahertz. Okay. So when they're talking about sending a data packet of 16 bits, what they're saying is we're sending 2 letters of the alphabet or 2 numeric characters or whatever you want to call it, or any special characters, which are comprised of these electrons. Okay, so you have it wouldn't be 8 electrons. It would just simply be a group of electrons representing 8. Well, it'd be representing the number 8, or basically, not really specifically the number 8, but the 8 bits. Okay, so these electrons represent the 8 bits. So there would be 8 bits on one lane, 8 bits on another lane, which would represent 2 different letters. They'd be on the highway in 2 separate lanes. They go straight on, and they go at 33 megahertz a second. All right. Now, when the PCI bus came around, now you had 4 lanes instead of 2. Okay. And so now 4 characters were sent off at the exact same time, and they were going at 33 megahertz. Okay. And what happened was that it went from 4 lanes to 8 lanes. That's where you get that 64-bit. Now 8 characters are traveling down the road at exactly the same speed. Okay. All right. Now, it is true that the faster these data packets are sent from the PCI bus to the CPU, the faster the computer processes the information. Eventually, the PCI bus was replaced by something called PCI Express. But then, but before that happened, okay, before PCI Express came around, there was also the low pin count. And then after the PCI Express came out, then you had another thing called the USB. And I will go through both of those in a future video. Okay. So basically, what's happening here is that the speed uh, of the letters going from the peripheral to the actual CPU was increasing, but also there was more lanes, so more letters were traveling in a data packet at the exact same time. And there you go. And that's why they created those PCI buses. All right. Now, if you want to know more about these PCI buses, I have a hyperlink down here. And if you want to leave me feedback and you want to correct anything in this video, let me know. And then the next video, I will go ahead and put those corrections in there. All right, I want to thank you very much for watching this particular video. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Well, Doberman, are you still there? If you are, I'd love to know how well I did. I'm gonna get something to drink, and we're gonna have a brief pause. Okay, so hang in there. I'll be right back. So please let me know how I did. Survival on a Budget Made Easy says I am doing just fine. That's fantastic, great, and wonderful. I just hope I got all the details right. That's a lot harder than you think, especially when it comes to computer tech. Okay. Now, I know the next video will be very, very boring, but if you're doing any accounting, which eventually you all may end up having to do, this is something you might want to know. Now, I will give you the main reason why. Because if they ever, and they have discussed this, but they've never done it, if they ever pass this Social Security reform where they take part of your Social Security and dump it in the stock market, you're going to have to know which stocks to invest in. And if you don't know, this could hurt you. So, anyway, let's go into this. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to continue my video series on FASB statement number 3 to show you how extensive this thing actually is. And I wanted to go into this really deep because if they ever decide, and Congress has been working on this for a long time, and they have not done this yet, but if they ever decide to take part of your Social Security and dump it in the stock market, you're going to have to know this. Okay. Now, I briefly discussed the term of retained earnings in the last video, but I wanted to show you how this retained earnings is calculated. Okay. Now, the first thing you should know is that retained earnings are listed on the balance sheet. They're not listed on the income statement. They're actually listed on the balance sheet. And they are listed as part of something called shareholders' equity. Okay. So basically, this is the shareholders own the company rather than an actual one person. You don't have a sole proprietorship in this case. You don't have a partnership in this case. You actually have stockholders that actually run the company. That's why you have board of directors. Okay. So how are retained earnings calculated? Well, let's go ahead and show you. So you have, I'm going to show you this in RE. This is retained earnings. Okay, the start of this calculation, well, actually, that's the end of it. Okay, this equals, okay. Now we have RE again, which is what the retained earnings is at the beginning of whatever period we're talking about. The beginning of the first quarter, the beginning of the second quarter, the beginning of the third quarter, and so on and so forth. Then you're going to either subtract a net loss or you're going to add a net income. That's what NI actually stands for, is net income. Now, what are you going to subtract here? You could subtract one of two things. You could actually subtract a cash dividend. Okay, so what you would do is you'd write a check to every shareholder for a certain amount of money, and everybody would get the same check. Okay, so let's say you wanted to write a check for $44. Okay, $44. So you'd write $44 checks, and you would send them out to every person that owns shares in your stock, and you'd have to send out bigger checks because some people would own more shares of the stock than others because you're paying $44 a share, not $44 a person. Get the idea? Now, you could also send, okay, or you could send stock dividends. Now, what is a stock dividend? That means you're getting more shares of the company. So what they're saying is that you have a greater ownership of the company because we're sending you more stocks so that you have greater ownership in the company. So what you do is you start with the beginning retained earnings, you'd add the net income, you subtract the cash dividends or the stock dividends, and whatever you had left would be the new retained earnings for the end of the quarter. Say like the end of the first quarter, the end of the second quarter, or the end of the third quarter, so on and so forth. Okay, so now you know what retained earnings is and how it's calculated. Why is all this so important? We're going to get into that. So the first question that should come to your mind is, how does a change from FIFO to LIFO, or LIFO to FIFO, or whatever the heck you do, how does a change in this inventory method affect the retained earnings in a company? You have to keep in mind that FIFO or LIFO or whatever heck you're using appears on the company's income statement. Remember, the end of the income statement is where you get your net income, and that's the first thing added to retained earnings. So let's go on to what FASB statement number 3 says, and we're going to go directly from where we left off in the last video. Okay. This statement will also discuss an accounting change, such as changing from FIFO to LIFO during the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. So let's say you waited till the last quarter of the year to change from the FIFO method of accounting to the LIFO method. You're accounting for your inventory, but instead of using FIFO, you're now using LIFO. Okay. Accountants were sent copies of APB Opinion Number 28. Now, remember, that's the Accounting Principle Board, and they actually published an opinion called Opinion 28, and they sent this prior to January of 1974. After these accountants read this APB opinion, okay, after they read APB Opinion Number 28, they started incorporating these techniques discussed in the statement when they were preparing for their accounting materials for the next quarter. Okay. Now, FASB statement number 3 then focuses on paragraphs 23 to 29. Okay, so we got paragraphs 23 through 29 of APB opinion number 28. So we have to go back to APB opinion 28 and look through paragraphs 23 through 29. That's what we're going to focus on now. What do these paragraphs state? Well, let's take a look at them. We are now going back, and you have to have books like this in order to get all this stuff. A book like this would have APB Opinion 28 inside of it, and I do have one. Okay? So what does paragraph 23 in APB Opinion 28 have? It states that each report of an interim financial... Oh, boy. Paragraph 23 states that each report of interim financial information should indicate any change in accounting principles. But paragraph 23 does not define what a report of interim financial information is. So if you don't know what the report is, how can you indicate any changes in the accounting principle? If anyone has an answer to this, leave it in the comments below. Paragraph 23 continues by stating that when you indicate any change in the accounting principles, then you should indicate these changes in the comparable interim period of the prior annual period. So, from what I'm getting out of this is that if you make changes to from LIFO to FIFO or whatever in quarter 3 of that year, then you should make the same changes to quarter 3 of the last period, or indicated somehow in the last period, quarter 3 of the previous year. If I'm wrong, please let me know. This paragraph also states that you should indicate the change of accounting principles in the preceding interim periods of the current annual period. So you would indicate these changes in quarter 2 and quarter 1 if you made the changes in quarter 3. Okay. The final thing paragraph 23 states is that you should indicate the change in accounting principles in the prior annual report. So you prepared accounting statements for the previous year. So let's say you're working on the accounting stuff of 2023. Well, you made an annual report in 2022, so you should indicate this change of methods in 2022's report. Now, what this paragraph fails to state is how you indicate these accounting principle changes. So let's move on to paragraph 24. Okay, so we're now reading paragraph 24. It discusses changes in an interim accounting practice, but it doesn't define what this change in the interim accounting practice is. It also doesn't define what changes in the annual accounting practice is. It doesn't define any of this. It does say do this, do this, do this. I don't know if the accounting textbooks do this. I hope so, because not there. Paragraph 24 also states what a policy made in an interim period is. I hope some accountant can enlighten me on this one, because I don't know what the heck they're talking about. This paragraph does state, however, that these changes should be reported in the accounting period where these changes were made. They wanted accountants to follow the procedures stated in APB Opinion 20. So now you're going from APB Opinion 28 to APB Opinion 20. What does paragraph 25 state? It states that certain changes in accounting principles, such as those described in paragraph 4 and 27 of APB Opinion 20, well, okay, you have to know what changes in accounting principle were described in paragraphs 4 and 27 of APB 20. So we're going to go from paragraph 25 of APB 20, Opinion 28. We're going to go shifting now to paragraph 4 of APB Opinion 20. So let's go there. Paragraph 4 of APB Opinion 20 states, APB Opinion 20 does not change the policy of the Accounting Principle Board that its prior or future opinions, unless otherwise stated, are not to be retroactive. I can only guess that the principles that were stated in these opinions shouldn't change the accounting practices that were conducted during past years of a company's financial record prior to the introduction of APB Opinion 20 or 28. These opinions were published at a certain moment in time, and if you read them carefully, you will find a statement about an effective date. That statement refers to when you should use the accounting principles described in the opinion you are reading. Until you reach the effective date of the opinion, you should use the accounting practice that you are already using. Hope you understood that. Then paragraph 4 briefly presents the topic of an industry audit guide, but it never defines what that industry audit guide is. But apparently this industry audit guide can prescribe the manner of reporting a change in accounting principle. But they never define how that would work. So let's go on to paragraph 27 of APB Opinion 20. This paragraph has a title. The title of this paragraph is Special Changes in Accounting Principle Reported by Applying Retroactively the New Methods and Restatements of Prior Periods. Wow, that's a mouthful. What does it state? Oh, boy. It first discusses certain changes in accounting principle. It specifically references retroactive treatment in prior period reports. It states that the advantages of retroactive treatment in prior period reports outweigh the disadvantages of retroactive treatment in prior period reports. But this paragraph doesn't state how this should be done. So that's why we need a professional accountant to read all this. So this Accounting Principles Board recommends that the financial statements of all prior periods should be restated. This paragraph specifically focuses on the changes from LIFO to FIFO or some other change in accounting principle. It also focuses on change in the method of accounting for long-term construction type projects, like you've ever done a long-term construction type project. Of course, this paragraph doesn't discuss long-term construction type projects. I wish it did. If you want to know what changes occur in a long-term construction like project, well, you'll have to ask somebody because I don't know. And if you ever find out, leave something in the comments below and I'll see what I can do with it. The last thing this paragraph focuses on is a change to or from the full cost method of accounting. Like anybody knows what the full cost method of accounting is. And this paragraph doesn't elaborate on it either. I may have to elaborate on this in a future video. When would this full cost method of accounting be used? It would be used in the extractive industries. Like anybody knows what an extractive industry is. Well, of course, this paragraph doesn't state that either. See how this thing has holes in it? Now, we have to go from APB Opinion 20 to paragraph 25 of APB 28. We've already been reading it. So, now this paragraph 25 of APB Opinion 28 refers to paragraph 26 of APB Opinion 9. So now we're going to go from APB Opinion 28 to APB Opinion 9. Oh boy. Let's go over there and let's see what the paragraph states. This paragraph states that a discussion of prior period adjustments, it starts with a discussion of prior period adjustments. That's what it does. It states that when you record these prior period adjustments, like we know what they are, there are resulting effects. What are these effects? It refers to applicable income taxes. So these resulting effects are are a result of the applicable income taxes, but it doesn't specify how income taxes relate to these resulting effects. It does say that the resulting effects of the prior period adjustments have an effect on the net income of your balance sheet. Well, that's all great and dandy if we knew any of the other terms. You see why this thing is so difficult to process? When it comes to interim financial statements, the net income of prior periods would be affected by the prior period adjustments. Okay, like we know how they are affected by these prior period adjustments, but we don't. All these adjustments have to be accounted for on your annual accounting statements. Okay, I'd love to account for them on the annual accounting statements. I know what they are, but how that's done doesn't say. All right. Now, what else does paragraph 26 of APB Opinion 9 say? It discusses financial statements of a single period. It says any prior period adjustment disclosure should indicate the effects of such restatement on the balance sheet of the retained earnings portion of your balance sheet. Like I know how to do that. It specifically states that these disclosures should indicate the effects of such restatement on the balance sheet of retained earnings at the beginning of the period. Well, that's all wonderful, except I don't know how any of that's done. It should also indicate the effects of such restatement on the net income of the immediately preceding period. So we know that the net income, let's say we're dealing with the third quarter of a business. So we know the net income of the second quarter is going to be affected when we change the third quarter from FIFO to LIFO, but we don't know in what way. Okay, it doesn't give it an example of the restatement. I wish it had. So we are still in paragraph 26 of APB Opinion 9, and it also states that when an accountant presents financial statements for more than one period of time, the disclosure of prior period adjustments should include the effects for each of the periods included in the statement, which I totally agree with, except for the fact, how is this done? Okay. It also states that prior period adjustment disclosure should include the amount of income tax applicable to the prior period adjustments. I agree with that, because when you make a prior period adjustment, your income tax is going to be affected, and so is your net income. The question is, how are you supposed to do that? It's not illustrated. So what else does paragraph 25 of AP? Now we're going to go from APB Opinion 9 back to paragraph 25 of APB Opinion 28. Well, I think I've just about discussed all that I can do in this particular video. So if you're watching this and you have answers to any of this, feel free to leave them down here in the comments below. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! That was a lot of info, huh? I'm sorry that a lot of you didn't understand it. Believe it or not, I didn't either. So I just took the notes as what they were, and I'm hoping some accountant will see it and say, "Oh, I know the answers to all these questions." I'd love to hear from them, but that's just how this works sometimes. Okay. Fortunately, the hard work is done. All we do now is we talk about subjects that we truly do understand, and math doesn't suck is one of them. And or actually, we already done math doesn't suck, so we don't have to worry about that. But you have to admit these are just ridiculous. Okay, but you guys have been waiting for some really excitement stuff, so we're gonna get into this. You're gonna love this. Wait till you hear the next one. Let me get a drink of water before I do this one. That's gonna be fun. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner. I am updating a video series that I did over a decade ago called Bra, and that's because the graduate report actually did a video about Bra and brought up these topics, but he didn't cover them, so I'm going to. But before I begin, I wanted to let you guys know that I have 5 Kindle books. If you want to purchase any of them, let me know. I will leave you a link down here in the comments, or in the comments below. and I'll let you read those. Okay? Now, what are we covering in this particular broad video? Okay. We are going to cover the Boy Rangers of America. It was founded by a gentleman named Emerson Brooks. I know you've never heard of him before. Before he founded the Boy Rangers of America, he became a business partner with a gentleman by the name of Paul Ostruck. They formed an automobile custom body business called the Brooks Ostruck Company. This company was located in New York City. So who was Paul Ostruck? He was trained as a coach builder. He left the country of Bohemia as a Bohemian Rhapsody, get it? And he immigrated to the United States. He worked for a lot of New York companies that specialized in coach building. A coach builder builds the body of passenger cars. So how did Paul Ostruck meet Emerson Brooks? Well, Paul Ostruck was hired by the A.T. Demarest Company. Now, as you probably have guessed, this company was founded by as you might have guessed, this company was founded by a guy named Aaron T. Demarest. Aaron T. Demarest. That's who founded the A.T. Demarest Company. Of course, this detail is not particularly important to this conversation. But Paul Ostruck and Emerson Brooks were working for Aaron T. Demarest and became friends. But a dark time fell on Paul Ostruck and Emerson Brooks. They were about to lose their jobs because the company they were working for was about to be sold. But Emerson Brooks, fortunately, was the treasurer of the Automobile Club of America. So he encouraged the other members of the Automobile Club of America to help him fund his new company. And that is how the Brooks Ostruck Company came into existence in February 1917. But this doesn't tell us how the Boy Rangers of America was created, but it does tell you about them. Okay. So I have a link about the Brooks Ostruck Company right down here in the description below. You can read about that at your leisure. Let's return our attention to Emerson Brooks. He became involved with the Boy Scouts, but he noticed that boys under the age of 12 had no program to participate in. Why should they have to wait that long to participate in a program? So in 1913, he started an organization called the Boy Pioneers. Yeah, that was a really appealing name. Not. Well, he realized quickly that that name didn't work. So he changed the name of the organization to the Boy Rangers of America, and bam, in 1915, it started out. He tried to persuade the Boy Scouts to incorporate this organization into the Boy Scouts, but he failed. The Scouts decided that they didn't want the Boy Rangers of America, so they infused the British Wolf Club into their Boy Scouts in 1930. Emerson Brooks was not a person that gave up. He continued the Boy Rangers of America until he passed away in 1948. And now you know the history of the Boy Rangers of America. All right. Thank you for watching this presentation. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. I bet you didn't know any of that information. All right. Let's go on, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to update a video I made over a decade ago called the Times New Roman Font. Okay, and I encourage everybody to look up what the Times New Roman Font looks like. You can very easily do that if you have a word processor. You can see it for yourself. Anyway, what I want to tell you guys is that I actually have 5 Kindle books, and you can purchase any of them. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll send you a link to the latest one. You can read it for yourself. Check it out. In the meantime, let me tell you about the Times New Roman Font. Who created this font and why? When and why was it created? Well, this font was created in London, England, of all places. It was created by a man known as Stanley Morrison. Let me say that again. His name is Stanley Morrison. It was created in 1929 after the London Times newspaper hired Stanley Morrison. They wanted Mr. Morrison to create a new text font. Mr. Morrison supervised another employee at the London Times to create the actual font itself. The name of the person who Mr. Morrison was supervising was Victor Lardon. Mr. Lardon was an advertising artist, and Mr. Lardon drew the characters for the font. Apparently, newspapers prefer this font because it's very narrow. And if it's narrow like this, they can put more text on a single line, and they can actually put more text in a newspaper article, okay, because of the narrow font. All right. And that's all I got for you on that one. Nice and short and sweet. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. What'd you think of that? Short and sweet. I like it. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to do an updated version of my scroll lock video from way back in the day. It's been over a decade since I've done this topic, and I wanted to not only redo it, but also upgrade it. Now, you will see a key on your keyboard, and it will display SCLLK. That's what you're going to see on your keyboard. Now, it will not always be in the same position as mine is, because all keyboards, well, okay, a lot of keyboards are different. Mine is a split key from Microsoft, and it's really fancy. Not all keyboards are this fancy, so therefore finding the scroll lock is going to be a little harder for some of you than it is for me. All right. But anyway, why was this key added to the keyboard? Well, in 1981, IBM introduced the first PC keyboard. Prior to this, keyboards were designed to work with dumb terminals. Okay. So basically, you'd have a computer and the keyboard was inside. You'd have a monitor and you'd have a keyboard, and there'd be this little wire that come out of this little box and send it right into the actual computer, which was a monster big piece of garbage. Okay. Or if you had a TRS-80, which would be a Tandy Radio Shack 80, the computer would actually be in the box, but everything was hardwired to it. You would have a hard wire from the keyboard to the motherboard of the TRS-80. Same thing with the monitor; it'd be huge. It's a kind of a dumb terminal there too. But IBM finally started inventing PCs, which are personal computers. And when they did this, things changed radically. You could actually, because the IBM PC keyboard was designed the way it was, if your keyboard broke, you didn't have to take the whole computer and throw it back to IBM. You could just take the keyboard off, put another keyboard on, and it worked just fine. That's why they invented it that way. Now, there were no standards to these keyboards except for the ones that IBM made. Now, every keyboard that IBM made was standardized. Everybody else, you were on your own. The first PCs didn't include a mouse. Only the PCs that were made by IBM. And I think Steve Jobs included mice on his app. He had Apple computers, so I think he included mice on his too. So these keyboards were produced with 83 keys. Okay. One section would be the QWERTY keyboard, which you'd be familiar with if you ever typed on a typewriter. And then you'd have this numeric keypad on the side. Okay. And you'll find that virtually every computer that came out in those days had a numeric keypad on the side. Okay. Now, what would happen if a person was writing a long computer program or a text document, and they wanted to search through the document or computer program for very specific things? Since most of these people didn't have a mouse, they would have to either rely on the computer numeric keypad or the arrow keys on the keyboard. Some of these keyboards had arrow keys, some didn't. What would happen is that the numeric keypad would also be your uh, arrow keys. Okay. But other computers actually had arrow keys and a numeric keypad. My computer keyboard actually has arrow keys and a keypad. If your computer keyboard had both arrows keys and a numeric keypad, then you were pretty much in great shape. If they didn't, however, that could be a different story. Now, this is why the scroll lock button was invented. Now, I know there's a scroll lock and a num lock, and I'll cover both here. Okay. Now, when it came to having the scroll lock key, if you were typing with your QWERTY keyboard and you actually bumped your arrow keys, you'd be going up and down through your document. And if you were writing things like Visual Basic or actually GW Basic, which was in the early days, it's called GW Basic. If you started a computer program, the computer program could just go, it would just go in this endless loop, and that scroll lock would stop that endless loop. Okay, but the scroll lock would also shut off those arrow keys so that your hand didn't bump into the arrow keys and cause you to mess up and go to some different part of your document, which you didn't want to do. Okay, so the scroll lock was used if you had arrow keys separate from the num lock. Okay, in other words, if you had a numeric keypad and you had arrow keys, you could shut off the arrow keys with the scroll lock. However, what if the arrow keys were incorporated in the numeric keypad? Well, that's where you came up with the num lock. And so what we do is you'd hit the num lock once, and you could type straight numbers. If you turned it off, then you would have your numbers as little arrows. So, is the scroll lock key used today? Well, it can be used in Microsoft Excel, or you could change it into some kind of shortcut key. That's up to you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Short and sweet. Okay, that's one nice thing about some of these videos, that they're really nice and short and sweet. All right, now normally I do not get asked to review commercials. People just ask me to review music and TV programs, and I'm more than happy to oblige. However, now tonight I was going to do episode 3 of Night Court. I just simply had no time to make the notes for it. I know this is going to be really, you're like, how could you possibly lose the video for the first episode of the new Night Court, which you reviewed? Well, I did, and I'm going to have to re-record it. And I will do that soon. So anyway, but I will get the notes for Night Court episode 3 really, really soon, and you'll be able to see it. All right, but somebody asked me to review a commercial. This is an audio commercial. It is played on PAs, personal announcement systems. If you have one in your store, you might have heard this. I know I have, and I was asked to review it. So here goes the review. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I had a very unusual request. And tonight we're actually going to review an audio commercial. We have never done this on this YouTube channel before, but they asked me to do this. It was a ridiculous commercial, and they wanted me to do this. So here we go. The commercial in question is called RSV Stanley. And we're going to go through this. And it's a 30-second commercial, but it's totally stupid. All right, so I'm going to ask some questions about this commercial. Why does this lady in the commercial have to tell her husband that she has a present for him? I would imagine he just assumed that she had a present for him. Why did this guy make a doctor's appointment on his birthday of all places? Really? Why is she going with him? Tell me he can't go on his own? Oh, and it's so normal to talk about respiratory syncytial, I guess a syncytial virus. Okay, respiratory syncytial virus. If I mispronounce that, that's fine. You can pop me in the head for that one. But it's so normal to talk about this particular virus while traveling to a doctor's appointment on a guy's birthday. That's just so normal. That just happens every day, right? I don't think so. Oh, and let's discuss the demise of a human being while celebrating that person's birthday. Oh, that's really comforting. Now, this guy asks, "What more can you want?" Well, the Toyota Motor Corporation, okay, I'll say that again. The Toyota Motor Corporation answered that old question about what more could you want in a commercial that they did years ago. If you don't believe me, check out old Toyota Motor Company commercials. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, Toyota offers in these old commercials this guy a car, and this guy wants a watch. Really? I think the Toyota worth much more. Okay, this commercial is unbelievably stupid, and I hope someday Stanley obtains his watch, and I hope he gets a Toyota out of this too. He deserves that after going through that. So, I want to thank you guys very much for watching this particular presentation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. What do you guys think of that? I enjoyed this thoroughly. I really did. I should do more commercials because that was hilarious. So if you guys have a really truly stupid commercial you want me to cover and try to make fun of, please let me know. Okay. All right. Let's go on. We got to go on with this torture. Okay. This video response is going to go out to Spas Skags, and that's because you uploaded years ago a music video entitled JoJo. And I wouldn't normally review a song like this, but a lot of people just don't know who JoJo is. And tonight we're going to reveal that. And once you find out, you'll be like, really? I didn't know this? Oh, boy. Anyway, so I watched the whole music video. I've heard this song many times over the years, and I decided to ask you a few questions about this song and quote video. All right. Why is JoJo carrying around high velocity projectiles? I'd like to know that. What spinning lights is JoJo looking at? What games is JoJo playing? I'd like to know that. What theatrical shows on Broadway is JoJo watching? Now, many people may wonder what JoJo would give to you if you gave him $50, but as you'll see later in this music video, you can easily guess what JoJo would give to you. Why would anyone think that JoJo is gentle and soft? What, because he's wearing ridiculous clothes or something? I don't know. What would JoJo consider looking the wrong way? How does JoJo keep his baby sweet? That's never really explained. I mean, we can assume a lot of things, but that's not fully and thoroughly explained. How does JoJo keep her on the street? Why does JoJo wear mink? Now, I will say that the actual music in this song is wonderful. The saxophone playing is fantastic. The synthesizers blended perfectly. Boz Scaggs plays an excellent guitar, and the little bongos that they have in the video, excellent. All this is just what, and the background singers, fantastic, totally. And I can say to you that if this song was not what it's about, but it was about a simple street hustler, I'd give this song an A plus. That's how good it is, except for one thing. Yeah. Have you guessed what profession JoJo is actually in? Well, if you have not guessed the profession of JoJo by now, I would suggest you do some research on it, because when you find out what profession this guy was in, you'll know why I did not like these lyrics very well. This guy is not an ordinary street hustler. Like I said, if this is song a bit about an ordinary street hustler, somebody that plays a racket of dubious card games or something like that, that would be fine. Or maybe he was just selling merchandise that was overpriced on the street. That'd be okay. I mean, People do this all the time. Not very nice about it, but that happens, especially in a big major city. You're going to see people hustling people all the time. Not what we want, but that's what happens. But JoJo's a different story. So I will give the music in this song a definite A, but I will give the lyrics a definite F. You add the A and the F together, and you get a C. So overall, this song is a C song, and that is because of the lyrics. I personally would not allow my kids to listen. If I had kids, I would not let them listen to the song. When they got a little older, then they could listen to it and they could appreciate the music inside of it. But I'm not particularly fond of the life of JoJo, really. Alrighty. If you're not Boz Scaggs and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Boz Scaggs' YouTube channel, watch his videos, rate his videos, comment on his videos, subscribe to his channel if you like, and if you want to, tell him that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Okay, Survival on a Budget Made Easy asks about the Bud Light. Well, that's a different story for a different night. I'm not going to get into that one tonight. We have something even more controversial to get into tonight, and believe me, when you hear this, you'll be like, "Oh boy." Think about this. I've been at this for almost 2 hours. Okay. Well, okay, buddy, is what Survival on a Budget Made Easy says. So let's try to get the rest of these videos out there. After I get past this one, the rest of it should be pretty easy. Okay. This video response is going to go out to Kevin Gates, and that is because you uploaded, and I use the term loosely, a music video entitled Breakfast. I actually did watch the whole video, and I also read through all the lyrics, and I had a lot of questions about your lyrics. Okay. But before I begin, I want to tell everybody that I have published 5 Kindle books. If you want to read any of them, let me know, and I will put a link down here in the comments to help you find those books. All right. But let's just go on with this. I will start this review by examining this video. The mountain snow shots that he got were beautiful. I mean, the wildlife out there is absolutely spectacular. The video was well shot. I have to give you that. That was beautiful and fantastic. And as I can see, Kevin Gates appears to be very kind to his wife, and his house looks very nice. I have to give him that. I guess the first question I would have for him about his music video is how much snow did that area of the world receive before he recorded this video? How cold was it when he recorded this video? Because he was out there, he didn't have a hood on or anything. As a matter of fact, he had some feathers that I would say were probably from Native Americans. I don't know. He'd have to specify that. I'd like to know if he's somehow related to Native Americans. That would be interesting to find out. What food dish was he serving to his wife in the video? So if the video is so great, then what's the problem with this song? The problem begins with auto-tune. First and foremost, if a song possesses auto-tune, it's an automatic F. The end. End of story. I'm sorry. From what I've been told, this guy has a fantastic voice. There is absolutely no reason why he should have used auto-tune. He could have just sung the stuff himself, and he would have been fine. Or if he felt that certain parts of the song needed a little bit of voice coaching, he could have found a voice coach to help him out a little bit. I don't think he would have needed a lot of help, but he could have had a voice coach work with him a little bit, and he could have made a much better song. He did not need auto-tune, period. But I'll tell you another thing that's a no sale. The overuse of a drum machine. Okay? Hire a real drummer. You don't have to have a drum machine. I mean, they may be more expensive, but by golly, they're worth it. I assure you. And let me tell you something. Before I go on here, And like I said, uh, Kevin Gates, from what I've been told, is a very talented singer, and I'm glad for it. But even when you have somebody like Rod Stewart or Stevie Nicks, uh, their voices aren't all the greatest, but I assure you they make lots of hits. You just have to make a few slight adjustments. That's all. Okay. So when you want to flunk a song, you say no to auto tune. You say no to overuse of drum machines. Neither one are necessary. And don't overuse a synthesizer either. That's another fail. Why does this guy learn how to play an authentic piano? I'm sure it wouldn't take you very long to learn, and he would really benefit from it. Okay? Or he could have played the guitar or any other instrument. That would have been great. Or he could have hired some people to play some real live instruments. There's no reason why he couldn't. The overuse of a synthesizer, and this is something I've criticized in a lot of disco songs, they did the same thing, and it's wrong. It's a sign of a bad song right there. But let's go into the lyrics, shall we? Who is this DJ Chose, and why do I care that he's in the music video? Okay. Now, Kevin Gates begins this song with some suggestive lyrics, and I have no problem with that at all. That's fine. Rick James did the same thing in the song Super Freak, so again, I have no problem with that. But the suggestive lyrics quickly come to an end, and that's a big no no in my book. I encourage Kevin Gates to be more creative and keep his lyrics suggestive instead of trying to just blurt it all out. There's no need of that. Young minds do not need to be exposed to material like this, and I don't think it's very healthy. Besides, I'm smart and I can figure things out all by myself, and I'm sure if I can, some young kid can figure this out too. Not that I want him to, but he could probably figure this out. When you make a reference to a Fender, are you referring to a Fender guitar? And do you build ships and place them into bottles? Now that would have been, you know what? You could have made a whole song about how you put ships in a bottle. That'd be fantastic. That'd have been a great song. So why did you create? Why did you create a song about building a ship and putting it in a bottle? And what are you the general of? Ever served in the military at all? That'd be a good question. And if you're going to make a reference to a ship in a bottle, then when if you're the if you're on in charge of the ship, wouldn't you be an admiral instead of a general? I will have to admit that there are a lot of people that do not live your lifestyle. Okay, and it's sad that they don't, and they should. I'll give you that. Then you make a reference to a plant that is grown in Peru. Are you consuming this plant to reduce sun damage on your skin? Are you trying to lower your blood pressure? To know that. Then you mentioned another plant that is indigenous to India. Are you boosting your energy or trying to release stress? That'd be nice to know. What border are you referring to? What business are you conducting? I could go on and on with these lyrics because it's just too long. Way, way too long. Too much detail. We don't need it. Um, he could have split these lyrics up into 3 or 4 different songs and they would all been sounding great. Except he needed to be a little more suggestive and a lot less blunt about everything. So think about how many hit songs he could have made out of those lyrics. You want to talk about volume? There's volume. So what's the largest problem with this quote song? It has the same problem that many rap songs had back in the late 1980s. What is basically a rap song? Well, it's a bunch of poetry set to background music. Well, if I want poetry set to background music, I could go to Audible and buy a book of poetry that's set to background music. The end of the story. I don't need this incorporated in a song. Now, the thing is that what became the bigger problem is, even if they wanted to do that, and that's fine, but the music scene of the late 1980s became saturated with rap songs. Okay. And they made the exact same mistake as what the disco movement made in the late 1970s. They just saturated everything had to be disco. Everything had to be disco. And after a while, it's like, are you kidding me? I like a disco song just as much as anybody else, but I'll tell you what, I don't want to be saturated with it. And the same thing with rap. I didn't want to be saturated. And hip hop was the same way. So, every one of these songs that just saturated the music industry back in the late 1980s, and this one in particular, the one we're talking about now, they lack key elements that challenge music consumers. You should challenge them mentally on this stuff, and you're not. Okay, let me show you some examples of what I'm referring to. I want you to take a moment and focus on the saxophone player and the flute player that performed in the song "Lot of Love" by Nicolette Larson, not the version that Nick Jodoin did. Nick Jodoin doesn't know anything, but the original Nicolette Larson "Lot of Love" back in the late 1970s. There was a saxophone player and a flute player. They almost spoke for themselves. Then focus on the piano playing of Eric Carmen's "All by Myself." That middle section, when he gets almost to the bottom, boom. Okay. Then focus on the last chord played in the song "Give a Little Bit" by Supertramp. What about the saxophone and violin playing that you can hear both in MacArthur Park and Heaven Knows by Donna Summer, which I'm going to cover here in just a minute. And let's not forget the sudden shift in music in the song "Don't Want to Go On to You Like That" by Elton John. And do I really have to mention the great trumpet playing of Earth, Wind, and Fire, or the great vocals of the Manhattans? What made these artists and songs so distinctive? Well, do I have to point out the saxophone and harmonica playing in the song "Take the Long Way Home" by Supertramp, or the harmonica playing in the song "Piano Man" by Billy Joel? And let's not forget the flute playing at the end of the song "So Far Away" by Carole King. Do I have to remind everyone of the fantastic shift in music in the original song "Layla" by Eric Clapton? Do you find any of this in old or modern rap songs? If you do, I'd like to know, but so far that's not what I found. I definitely didn't find it in this song. Because the rap music was permeating the radio scene back in the late 1980s, by 1989, I turned off my radio. I couldn't stand it anymore. It was impossible for me to stand it. It reached a point that every song that people heard was rap or hip hop. I was like, I'm done with this. Now, rap can be incorporated into what we call a musical reservoir, but it can't overwhelm a musical reservoir. And that's the same thing that happened to disco. When you overwhelm it, they're going to reject it. So, the question is, why do so many people today listen to rap? Well, I may have some answers to that question. You have to first look at the beginning of rap. It all started with a song by the Sugar Hill Gang. I presume Deborah Harry listened to that song and decided to incorporate rap into her song called Rapture. Now, the thing is that she incorporated rap into Rapture. It didn't dominate the whole song, and it made it good. Like I said, if I really want to if I want to listen to poetry that's set to background music, I can go to Audible and get something like that. I really don't want to hear. But that's only part of the explanation. So why do people today still listen to basically nothing but rap? Well, I may know part of that answer. Some of this could be attributed to social media sites like Spotify and YouTube. Have you ever noticed the recommendations that Spotify and YouTube make to um, teenagers today? There you go. Now, social media sites are not blameless on this either. Have you ever watched the recommendations that YouTube shoots out to uh, people that are subscribed to YouTube? Just take a look at the recommendations. They know the ages. Even if they're signing into their parents' account, they're going to see that these parents are watching some of these songs, so they'll make more recommendations like this. And they know this. They track this. Now think about this for a second. It's a lot less expensive to formulate synthesizer generated music with auto tune than it is to hire a real band and play genuine rock or pop songs. When was the last time you saw a musical group singing together? Do groups of rap stars come together and harmonize their rap songs? That's rare to see. At this point, someone may ask if there are any rap songs that incorporate a cappella or real life musical instruments or melodies or harmony twists. Well, it's possible there is, but it's hard to find. But do you see these elements in the most popular rap songs? Do your research and see what you find. All right. If you're not Kevin Gates and you're watching this video right now, I want you to go over to Kevin Gates' YouTube channel, watch his videos if you want to, rate his videos, comment on his videos, subscribe to his channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell him that the Speed Learner sent you. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Whew. Hopefully you guys saw what I was trying to do. It's one thing to have an occasional rap song pop up once in a while, but to have the whole music industry dominated by this stuff, it's just not right. All right, let's go through some of this. Good evening, everyone. It is once again. Oh, no, that's wrong. Let's try that again. This video response is going to go out to Donna Summer, as you can plainly see right here, and that is because you uploaded a song years ago called MacArthur Park. Now, I know you were not the one who originally wrote this song, and I encourage everybody to find out why the song was written, so on and so forth, but I know in 1978 you sung this song, and I decided. Now, I know that Donna Summer is not around anymore. I get that, but there are a lot of fans of hers that still are, and I'm sure there's some people that that used to work with her, and they are still around, and they may be able to answer these questions that I'm about to pose. So, anyway, here we go. We're not going to pay attention to a music video because, as far as I can tell, there's no music video to MacArthur Park except some live performance that she did many years later. But the song is definitely, it's been out for years now. And so let's go ahead and review it. According to the lyrics, why would you want the spring to wait on you? How does spring run ahead of you? What song are you dancing to? Why is MacArthur Park melting? I suspect the green icing would be a reference to the trees and the plants surrounding you. Who left the cake out in the rain? I'd like to know that. Why did you bake the cake? And how did you lose the recipe? Was your dress short sleeve or long sleeve? Why were the old men playing Chinese checkers? Why not regular checkers? What song do you plan to sing? Why would you drink warm wine? What did you desire? Now, notice the confusing story that is told in this song. It should make you curious, which it did. It should cause you to find out the backstory of the song, which I did, and you should. I know I looked it up, but I will let you do the same thing. Notice the violins and the trumpets of the song and how they were well blended with everything else, with the guitar and the synthesizer. It's all blended well together. Every piece of this song is a masterpiece. There is even a flute and some background singers in the song if you're paying attention. The lyrics of the song are fantastic. Simply put, this is an A+ song. It's a real shame that Donna Summer has passed away. She will truly be missed. All right. We all know that probably anybody who's watching this is not Donna Summer because she has passed away. But if you are not Donna Summer, which you are probably not, go over to Donna Summer's YouTube channel, watch her videos, rate her videos, comment on her videos, subscribe to her channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell whoever's in charge of that YouTube channel that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Survival on a Budget Made Easy said, I myself, being a veteran of the KISS Army, we had one mission to destroy disco. I believe we were successful, and you are welcome. Well, I will tell you, I'm not a fan of all disco. No, I'm a fan of the ABBA and the Bee Gees and Earth, Wind, and Fire, and some things that were really really popular at the time. But there were a lot of disco that could have just sucked and gone in the rocks. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Some disco's okay, but over permeate the dang thing was just ridiculous. It was stupid. Anyway, we're gonna go on. We're gonna do another Donna Summer song, and I think you're gonna like this one. And this is disco, but if you really pay attention, it's really well done. That's what I liked about Donna Summer. She really did disco well. The same thing can be said of Kylie Minogue in these days. There's been some times she's actually really done disco well. The rest of it was, yeah, screw that. But anyway, let's go on. Woo! This video response is going to go out to the fans of Donna Summer and Joe Bean Esposito. And that is because you uploaded a music video entitled Heaven Knows. The only reason why I'm reviewing this song tonight with the song MacArthur Park is because they came out at exactly the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time to review it. I have listened to the song many times over the years. There's no music video to this, so we're just going to go with, you can see here, we're going to go with this. Anyway, let's go through this. According to the lyrics, why do you think he will take his love away from you? I admire the devotion of the lady in this song. Why is it not the way it should be? Why would this guy have foolish pride? What other things would this guy have to put aside? Notice the trumpets and the violins in the background. They are perfectly blended with the synthesizer, and there's no auto-tune or drum machines. This song evokes tons of emotion for those who know how to listen to such music. I have to give this song an A+. All right. We all know you're not Donna Summer if you're watching this video right now, so go over to Donna Summer's YouTube channel, watch her videos, rate her videos, comment on her videos, subscribe to her channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell whoever's running that YouTube channel that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! Wow. Okay. Just a few more of these, and we're going to the easy ones. Now, this one's not going to be too easy, but the rest of them are. This video response is going to go out to Cord Cutters News, and that's because you have a video that you've uploaded entitled New Streaming Players Hidden Fee. I watched the entire video, and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. How did you discover the hidden fee behind the new DirecTV player? Why and in what way did Roku and Disney Plus break up? Now, in the next part of this video, I'm going to ask you a really tough question. How does clicking the subscribe and like buttons help you and your family? I'd like to know that. And I'd like to know who told you that hitting the like button would motivate YouTube to share your videos more often. Okay, I have personally watched videos by Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake, and I have personally talked to Roberto Blake, and I can tell you that the like button and the subscribe button have zero effect on how YouTube promotes your video. And here's the reason why. YouTube wants to keep people on their platform. That's why they brought you into this. Okay. So the main way they tell if somebody is staying on the platform for a lengthy period of time is to see, number one, their watch time. That's why watch time is so important to YouTube, because the more watch time you're gathering, the more that YouTube is seeing that they are um, that these viewers are still on the platform and they're not going somewhere else. The other thing is, when people leave an authentic comment, that means they've authentically watched the video and they decided to react to it. And that tells YouTube that people are very interested in the topic that you're presenting. So that does bear on YouTube. They really like to see that. And the rest of it, I'm sorry, the like and subscribe has nothing to do with how YouTube shares videos. And I know this because of Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake. Now, when it comes to Bally Sports, a question has to be asked. Why did the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians do, or what did they do to motivate Bally Sports to seek out a better contract? Did these teams play poorly last year and failed to generate a lot of interest in their games? Does DirecTV offer programming other than streaming Okay, does DirecTV offer programming that other streaming platforms doesn't offer? And is any of this programming worth the new $15 a month fee? How many ads per show appear on the new Disney Plus subscription tier? I think it was very nice of Comcast to provide free internet for those who were devastated by the recent tornadoes. All right. If you happen not to be Cord Cutter News and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Cord Cutter News YouTube channel, watch their videos, rate their videos, comment on their videos, subscribe to their channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell them that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. All right, I'm going to take one more very brief pause, and the rest of this is just going to be, we're going to fly through it. I promise. Okay. The rest of these are just basic video responses. They should not take very long. Good. Okay. Whoa, that's wrong. This video response is going to go out to Alan Massey 91, and that's because you uploaded a video entitled Decatur, Illinois, May of 2022. I watched your entire video and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. What brand of skateboard do you use? Who taught you how to ride a skateboard? What is your favorite place to ride your skateboard? Have you ever entered a skateboard competition? What is the hardest skateboard stunt you've ever performed? Have you ever suffered any injuries while riding a skateboard? Feel free to leave the answers to any and all these questions down here in the comments below. And if you happen not to be Alan Massey 91 and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Alan Massey's YouTube channel, watch his videos, rate his videos, comment on his videos, subscribe to his channel if you'd like, and more importantly, tell him that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Oh. Survival on a Budget Made Easy says, "Why not tell people about you? Maybe you could, how you came up with the name Speed Learner." Oh well, that's very brief. Um, when I was a kid, I was quite the speed walker, and I had learned maneuverability, and I was able to. We had a great big mall. One end had Bergner's on it, the other end had J.C. Penney, and when they had the Friday night sidewalk sales, I was able to maneuver my body. I mean, I swayed it, whatever, and I was able to go through those sidewalk sales super fast. You couldn't believe how speedy I was. Well, anyway, when I learned about these memory techniques and the speed reading, I thought, you know what? Why don't we just shift the name from Speed Walker to Speed Learner? I did, and the rest is history. That's the story. I needed a handle for YouTube, and I thought, well, this would be the best way. This would definitely describe what I do here. And you have to admit you've learned this stuff pretty quick. So there you go. But here's the good news. The good news is I'm reviewing one of your videos right now. Get this. Ready? Here it comes. This video response is going to go out to Survival on a Budget Made Easy, and that's because you uploaded a video entitled Arby's Horsey Sauce Now in Stores. I watched your entire video and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. When was the first time you tasted the Arby's Horsey Sauce? How did you discover that the Arby's Horsey Sauce was now in grocery stores? What do you like about the sweet Hawaiian rolls? Is it their texture? Is it the flavoring in the rolls? Whatever. Why didn't you place the roast beef and cheese in the microwave first and then place the bun in after that? You could have placed the roast beef on on the bun after you after you heated it up, and not worried about the bun sticking to the melted cheese. That's what I would have done. Why didn't you mix the ham with the roast beef? That would have been interesting. All right. Feel free to leave the answers to any and all these questions down here in the comments below. And if you happen not to be Survival on a Budget Made Easy and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Survival on a Budget Made Easy's YouTube channel, watch his videos, rate his videos, comment on his videos, subscribe to his channel if you like, and more importantly, tell him that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. What'd you think of that? Good questions, huh? Feel free to answer any and all of them. I love to hear the answers. Okay. This video response is going to go out to the beautiful Golden Hour, and that's because you uploaded a video entitled Beautiful Hyacinths. I may have mispronounced that, and I'm sorry if I did. You can scold me if you want. Daffodils, tulips, and Easter lilies at the Broadway Market on April 4th of 2023. And before I continue, I wanted to let you guys know that I have published 5 Kindle books. If you want to read any of them, let me know in the comments below, and I'll send you a link, and you can read them for as much as you want. All right, I watched your entire video. It wasn't very long, and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. Which flowers were your favorite? Which flowers were the least expensive? Which flowers were the tallest? Which flowers smelled the best? What other unique things did you find at the Broadway Market? Feel free to leave the answers to any and all these questions down here in the comments below. And if you happen not to be the beautiful Golden Hour and you're watching this video right now, I really hope that you will go over to the beautiful Golden Hour's YouTube channel, watch her videos, rate her videos, comment on her videos, and subscribe to her channel if you'd like. And more importantly, tell it that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. You're welcome, Survival to Bunch of Made Easy. I'm looking forward to the answers to those questions. I really am. I'd love to see that. All right. This video response is going to go out to Where the Heck Are the Albans? And that's because you uploaded a video entitled Mac Manor Christmas 2022. And before I continue, I wanted to let everybody know that I have published 5 Kindle books. And if you're interested in any of them, leave me a comment down here in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to send you a link to any of them. All right. As I said, I watched the whole video, and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. Which exhibit in this light show was your favorite? Which exhibit was the largest? I know I didn't receive much snow over Christmas. How much snow did you receive? How cold was it when you recorded this video? And did you see any other light shows over this Christmas time? Feel free to leave the answers to any and all these questions down here in the comments below. And if you happen not to be Where the Heck Are the Albans and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Where the Heck Are the Albans YouTube channel, watch their videos, rate their videos, comment on their videos, subscribe to their channel if you like, and more importantly, tell them that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! And believe it or not, we got one more to go. I would have done one for Roman King, but he hasn't posted anything lately. So maybe next time we'll have something from him. But that's why we had Alan Massey. Alan Massey, sorry. And I will do more reviews of other people's videos soon. So, but like I said, for the next couple of weeks, there probably won't be any live streams because of this change in weather, and I just can't get the window open, and it's going to be too hot in the room to do the actual live stream. So therefore, but that's going to be fixed in a couple of weeks. So let's just go on. Let's get this last video done, and we're going to be done. This video response is going to go out to Valerie Reese, and that's because you uploaded a video entitled An Update on Our Garden. I watched your entire video, and before I say anything further, I have 5 Kindle books. If anybody's interested in purchasing any of them, let me know in the comments below, and I will be more than happy to send you a link to them. You can read them for yourself. But anyway, I watched your whole video, and I decided to ask you a few questions about your video. How many tomatoes do you plan to harvest this year? What happened to your pepper plants? I'd like to know that personally. What else are you going to grow in your garden? I'm glad the frost didn't damage your flowers. Do you plan to plant more flowers before summer arrives? Do you plan to replant your strawberries? And if so, how will you use the strawberries? Feel free to leave the answers to any and all these questions in the comments down below. And if you happen not to be Valerie Reese and you're watching this video right now, feel free to go over to Valerie Reese's YouTube channel, watch her videos, rate her videos, comment on her videos, subscribe to her channel if you like, and more importantly, tell her that the Speed Learner sent you. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Woo! Oh, I almost lost my voice, man. I'm telling you, that was rough. Okay, folks, overall, what did you think of my presentations? Now, if any of you people have not watched this live, it's okay. Leave comments in the comments section below, and I'll still answer them. I watch this stuff. I watch to see if anybody's actually asked me a question. So just because you missed it live doesn't mean anything. I will still listen to you. As for Rumble, I'll just tell you this real briefly. I did pop up some videos over there in Rumble, and like I said, these people are kind of nice. If you leave them a comment, oh, okay. Survival on a Budget Made Easy says you done good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I wanted to let you guys know that when it comes to Rumble, if I leave a comment on their videos, they actually do like them, and sometimes they actually respond to them. So that's kind of the upside to Rumble. The problem is that I don't get. I don't think I'm getting very much watch time over there, to be honest with you. And certainly, I'm not getting paid. I got paid 1 penny. Woo! I was thrilled about that. So you know, you're not going to make millions off of Rumble. I can promise you that. And there are other things that you guys don't know that I do know. And one of these days, I'm going to cover that on Rumble. I won't cover them here, but I will cover them on Rumble and tell you what I have seen out of Rumble. And then I will make videos that way. But mainly, I hope you guys learned something tonight. That is the whole point of this YouTube channel. You're supposed to learn. That's what this is all about. Okay. That's why I designed this channel the way I did, so you guys can learn. Because, like I said in the beginning of this live stream, understand, folks, no job is guaranteed. None. And if you start thinking that way, you got a problem. Real big problem. So, anyway, I sincerely wanted to thank every single person for sticking it out with me, watching these videos, and even replying. I loved the replies. It was wonderful. And I actually had 3 solid viewers all night, and then a 4th one for a while. I just thought, I think they were like, man, he's really getting to something like, whoa. But I put out some stuff tonight that was really amazing. So, anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching tonight, and I hope that you will tune in for the next live stream. It'll probably be in the latter part of May. I have a vacation coming up in about 3 weeks, and I'll try to make some notes. These FASB statements have been really rough on me. I don't think the LP, the low pin count video will be near as hard. But that FASB stuff is thick stuff. You saw it yourself. And I brought this to your attention because nobody else is going to talk about this. Nobody. And that's wrong. You should know what's in there. And that's why I'm telling you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this for tonight. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I have really covered a lot of material in the last 2 hours, and I'm about to lose my voice. That's not good. So I will tell you more in a future video. And like I said, I probably won't have near as long of a live stream the next time because it just won't be as much material. Okay, yes, the FASB is going to be long, but the rest of it's not going to be near like this. So there'll be a couple of videos that will pop up on Rumble later on. I got the notes for them, but I have not done them yet. And then after that, there you go. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this presentation tonight. You guys have a fantastic week next week, and have a good night, my friend. Well, thank you, Survival on a Budget Made Easy, and thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something, and I'm glad to have taught you. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.